Welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast.
If I only chose Kenzie in the draft, I would have beaten you all so bad.
Uh, the blunder to squash all blunders, Ryan. You mistook Mariah for Kenzie.
I just couldn't remember which one I saw there, and it ended up biting me in the butt. But what's up, guys? It is the finale review of Survivor 46. I have my buff on.
Same
He has
here.
his 43 buff on. Um, they're both red, funny enough.
Yeah,
Um, I'm also sporting a Q skirt
yeah.
as well. But yes, 46. Jeff put it is one of he thinks it's one of the funniest seasons of Survivor. I have to agree with him. I think this season has been so meme worthy.
It's definitely the meme season.
It is the meme season, and I appreciate it. I feel Kenzie winning is a very well deserving in the sense of like she's a deserving winner. And so that does I was talking to, as you guys have met before, Matt Noel, or is it Noel or Noel?
No.
Noel. Or the Cookie King. And he was saying where I would probably rate this, giving it a grade from like, the letter grades, and I was like, I'd probably give it either a C plus, maybe a B minus. I do think that Kenzie winning, and I feel that finale kind of elevated it a little bit for me. And then like also in this season, and Jeff was even like broke a record of four people in a row going home with idols in their pockets, five overall, and like the
Mhm.
amount of insane, gameplay that actually had to happen for that to take place. We all talk about how bad those plays were for not playing their idol, but I think we forgot to mention how good everyone else was at convincing the people and making them feel that safe to
Mhm.
not play those idols, especially because it got worse and worse. It's like the
Yeah.
more people that went home within its pocket, the more you should be like wary and be like, yo, play this idol. Like, heck no, I'm not going to go home this way.
Yeah, no, it was it's one of those things. It's really hard to convey how well people were at actually convincing them. Because especially with say the Hunter one, it seemed like Hunter knew that he was on the chopping block and that he was probably
Yeah.
should have played his idol 100%. He was like not focusing on Jeff and just focusing on talking to the people that he was
Yeah.
trying to get. Which if you go into a tribal council thinking that way and you have an idol, you just play your idol.
Yeah.
So that's a definite like I just think bad gameplay. But like I think when you look more at like the Tiffany's and Venuses and the Qs, those are a little better in terms of maybe being able to actually have them properly persuade people who maybe aren't going to make these kind of terrible moves.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
So we open this episode up and then we see why is your screen going red?
yeah, I noticed that. It started like flickering. Not sure. It's just gonna look like I'm in a rave right now, I guess.
It's gonna be like you're
Since
having that
that.
if you've seen what was it? Kill Bill Volume 1. It's like you see one of the you see one of the deadly snakes. I'm totally forgetting the names of them right now, and you're it's like the flashing right lights.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, we start off this episode and Maria's on the outs. And it feels like that boat, that tipped over boat, is like the hangout. That's like the place where everyone just conveys to. That's where a lot of people talk stuff out. It feels
Mhm.
like like a place that they all gathered. Like I don't know if you've noticed that, but it feels like that's like the gathering spot for like big information.
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's always a place where they, typically go. I know that there's been sometimes it's by the beach, sometimes it's the watering well.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely interesting. I kind of want to go back real quick, because you mentioned that this finale boosted your opinion with Kenzie specifically as the winner, right? Was that what you were getting at?
I wouldn't say just Kenzie as the winner, but I feel
Uh-huh.
like there was a lot of entertainment and, like, story stuff that happened within this.
Okay.
Like, a lot of those are further ahead, points that we're going to talk about.
Okay. I
But
was
I'm guessing
just
you have a
Yeah, I was just bringing that up because, interestingly, and I know, we normally go confessionals at the end, but I feel like this is a very important thing because I know some people actually are really upset with Kenzie's win in some aspects.
yeah,
Um,
a lot of
and
people are.
and the reason for that is that in this finale, she got the least amount of confessionals, or tied.
Really?
She's tied with Maria, who went out at 5. She has 5 confessionals in the finale of the episodes, um, which is, yeah. Whereas Charlie has 11, even Ben has 11. Essentially, the end game of the season for a lot of people, I think, is looking more through the eyes of Charlie and how he sets himself up for the win. Whereas Kenzie, even though technically she wins immunity, but that's because Liz helped her. She wins fire, which apparently, according to Charlie's exit interview, was so long that he thought they were going to have to start using matches. Like it was
Oh,
that bad. Um,
uh,
um,
why didn't
so
they, like, do the elapse thing like they did in the past? It's
that's
already the
why.
meme season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they wanted to make sure Kenzie looked like she had a good win because Maria said she voted for Kenzie because of her winning fire. Um, because she saw
Yeah.
the fire in her eyes. That's what Maria said.
That was also a big hot take, or
Yeah.
that's a big hot topic about the finale too. It's like, you know, that moment, that fire making, and yeah, it's hard for me to think that that's the only thing,
Uh-huh.
really. I don't because, like, the fire making thing, obviously, it adds to your resume no matter who you are. Even if you don't have that much of a chance of winning, it is something you can say,
Mhm.
for the end. But, to see that Maria, of all people, for Charlie, not to give him a vote,
Yeah.
like, and not even be swayed. Like, Jeff was even like, "Who changed their mind at the beginning of this?" Which means Maria went in there and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna vote for Kenzie."
Yeah. Yeah. I think she was really bitter towards Charlie for Charlie winning the kind of the rivalry that those two ended up having. Um, and I think she didn't want people I think she wanted to find a different reason than saying she was bitter. And I think, the next thing she saw was Kenzie win fire, and she
Yeah,
was like, "Okay, that's now my
that's
reasoning."
yeah.
Um, and that's another reason why I know a lot of people are kind of upset because if Maria votes without being bitter as the person here and votes Charlie, Ben has said that he would then vote for Charlie. So Charlie, by not
Right.
getting that, loses the game.
It's one of those things where it's like because that finale, I think, like, the thing, like, just from, like, watching in pure emotion, and it's a little part of the tough part about having it live raw in that moment,
Mhm.
because and some people were like, because he just looks so distraught throughout the entire thing, sadly eating pizza. And, like, he handled it well in the sense of, like, he said the right things where he's like, "The jury chose the right person," um, and stuff like that. He was a good sport. I mean, obviously, it's crushing to know that someone that was important to you the entire game, who and, like, he even said, it was like it was all about, who was going to you know, hit the first, fist first, who was gonna do that, and while
Mhm.
Maria wound up, he already had everything in place, and so she was just, like, wasn't quick enough to do it, and
Yeah.
so, like, you know, it's like one of those things, and, like, when she looked at him, like, I don't know if you saw that picture of, like, her not smiling, looking at Charlie and stuff, like,
Yeah.
it's like and him kinda, like, looking over his shoulder every now and then. It was, like, tense, like,
Yeah.
subtle, but like not subtle as in like it never really they never really talked it out on there,
Uh-huh.
but like you could tell there was like tension.
Yeah. Charlie also mentioned like he noticed Maria doing this and kind of and he was like, I didn't expect her to like be on the jury, like being my champion, like really trying to push me, but like maybe being more like a Trish in Kagiyan, like kind of coming hard at him, but then still giving, or like, trying to at least like do something to maybe help in some regards.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he was definitely pretty surprised that Maria was upset because she apparently also told Charlie she would vote for Charlie in the end.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's it's one of those things where it was like you cost your friend $1,000,000.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, like the thing is, it's like I do think Kenzie is a worthy winner. And I kind of
mhm,
called it in the sense of like I knew that she was going to
yeah,
have a really good really be able to plead her case for final tribal council because I knew like that aspect and those connections and stuff. Even getting
mhm,
her old ally turned enemy Q to change the vote because she knew exactly what to say. And that was the truth. And then
yeah,
also like how to frame it to be like, hey, I've been working. This is like the first thing that I've really done for me and stuff, and be able to support myself, keep that business afloat to give those people jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So like you know, was able to do it, and then also, um, I didn't think like tell her story and then even sway some people back.
mhm,
But yeah, it's something where we knew that it was going to come down to these two.
yeah.
If it was these two at the end, it was going to be a tough fought match, and Kenzie pulled in the W.
Yeah, like I'm definitely, if you read the edits, Kenzie was definitely very obviously the winner. Like I've been kind of calling it for quite a while now. I think that
Yeah,
she's just kind of had that winner edit probably since like the Earn the Merge. So I definitely saw this coming, and so for that reason, I was like, yeah, yeah, I can tell she's playing a great game, but yeah, I still think that she needed a little more stuff, I think, in this episode to really like solidify her points. Because what I
yeah,
kind of got from her game is other people kind of either helped her get further into the game by helping her win that challenge. And then she had a very bad performance at Fire. And then she seemed like the person who people were willing to give the money for, like she needed the most. And so, like, that's how in my like the like dumbed down version of the episode is
yeah.
for her is what I just laid out, which is not the best end for winners, in my opinion.
I'll admit, yeah, it did focus a lot on, I would say specifically, like Charlie, Maria, and then also Ben as well, because he had to make that decision. Uh, but it is kind of weird because another thing about the editing, when Maria lost, and obviously she went down in a way where it was like everyone was against her. Liz went back, ran to help out Kenzie because Kenzie was about to,
Yeah.
you know, uh, you know, and that was one of the things where we got up, like we were like, "Whoa, this is like someone is actually doing that for someone else."
Yeah, yeah. How
And
how do
like
you feel
obviously
about that? Because I feel like that's something Jeff should have immediately stopped the second he saw Liz carrying Kenzie's thing.
could have been. I think it's one of those things where it's like, well, he didn't say it wasn't part of the rules. There could be a thing going forward about it,
Yeah, well,
but
the thing is, like, we've already set the precedent that you're not allowed to help other people. South Pacific is the famous one where Sophie tries to get Albert to drop his pieces to help Sophie, and Jeff says, "No, you can't. You have to just work on your own stuff." So we are now kind of entering a very slippery slope where now people could potentially help other people just to make sure that one person doesn't win immunity, which kind of gives up the reason of, any why is immunity even important if that's the case?
Well, I mean, it is always important. It's one of the things where it's like, but it's also in the same sense. I'm more so It's also in the same sense, you have people that throw challenges, and not in the sense of like, like, and we haven't just seen it in Survivor, but like in Big Brother as well. I think one of the biggest examples of that is probably Xavier from Big Brother, where he's someone where he didn't want to seem like a threat, and so he was able to because he felt safe to throw a challenge or to not have that power when he didn't need that power. And I feel like in this one, where it was like, hey, it is more important for one of us to win as opposed to Maria. And so doing that was, you know, important. Now, will it always be, like I said, I think it is something where there might be a rule in 40 several because of it. We'll see.
Yeah, I think this is I don't think you can even classify this as throwing a challenge because in throwing a challenge, you're just removing yourself from a challenge.
Yeah.
This is giving immunity to someone else, basically. And choosing this is the person who wins immunity. I don't, nothing else matters from what everyone else is doing. I'm just doing this. This is how it goes. Um, so for me, that's why I think it's absolutely should have been stopped immediately because that's, like I mean, it's also like Maria definitely could have had, the immunity here. Like she was in it. Like
Yeah.
she was going to like Kenzie kind of didn't really understand, I think, even the plank. She was still kind of like having trouble with it. So I think Maria would have probably gotten it back quicker than her and been able to do it. Um,
Yeah.
so because of this, Maria gets kind of robbed of, entering a very elite club of the women. And
Yeah.
and it's not her fault. It is
It
someone
is not.
else.
I mean, the thing is, I think it made sometimes it's kinda similar to the Mike Turner thing when it came to the idols, where sometimes if it just makes great TV, it's like, "Go." Because they didn't flat out say right then and there one
Uh-huh.
couldn't do it there, where in South Pacific, it was, like, during the challenge, somebody's like, "Hey, can you do this thing?" And then Jeff's like, "No, you can't, no."
Yeah.
Um, which is funny enough because it's funny you bring up South Pacific because that's the 23rd season, and
Mhm.
this is season 46.
Yeah.
Literally twice, like literally like double that amount of time, double the number value, and boom, weird symbolism there.
Yeah.
Um,
Get ready
yeah.
for some challenge cheating and Survivor 69 or whatever
Oh,
the
some
thing
heavy
is,
one.
yeah.
It would be 94.
94? Okay.
No, wait, no,
It would be well, if you did
it would be
23,
94.
um,
No, if it were like double. Oh, if we're
yeah, I
talking
was saying
about like 69
23.
as in add 23 more, then
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, every 23 seasons.
every 23, it would be like 92. I'm not the greatest math, guys. Anyway,
Yeah,
um,
but yeah, I mean that's where I stand on it. Is this was something I don't want to see again. I want this to not be in the game.
I think I think something will happen and it won't be. I
Yeah,
thought it was great in the moment to watch, but it is something where things like this do affect the meta going forward.
yeah.
Um, Liz, meta defining.
Game changer. Survive
Game
Game
changer.
Changers 2, you get Liz Wilcox out there, greatest player ever.
She would have won the game.
Yeah.
Which by the
Which
way,
do you know that apparently she's not a millionaire?
yes, I know
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Um,
she that was her strategy was to tell everyone she was a millionaire so people would bring her to the end.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that amongst other things brought her further into the game. I think it definitely was something where because she was claiming that it lowered her threat equity, because, it was like, do we really trust Liz or like Liz, the thing is, it's like I feel for Liz. It's something where I'm like, yeah, sometimes some of the stuff she does is a little like I understand why her pouting and everything, not going to Applebee's
Yeah.
is like a lot. Like I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. I do feel bad for her, but at the same time, it was a huge reaction, one of the biggest outbursts on Survivor history.
Yeah.
Um, but like
Yeah.
I think Liz was such a character on this show. So yeah.
Yeah, I was so surprised that Ben was saying that he thought Liz was the biggest threat at when he won Final Four immunity. I know we're skipping around a bunch, but it really was like it made no sense. And apparently Ben had even come out and said like that actually wasn't the reason. He actually was kind of just trying to get Charlie the win by bringing Charlie. Like that's he was like Charlie beats either Kenzie or Liz in final three. So
Are you sure about that? You
yeah.
sure about that?
Yeah, so yeah, obviously that didn't happen, but like like I was watching Survivor with some of my friends and one of them was in the bathroom and he came back and he missed that whole thing and I basically told him, "Yeah, Ben thinks Liz is the biggest threat." And it was like, What?" Like it felt like a very big misread of the situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also it's like Ben's a nice guy. I don't think he would just flat out say that to someone. It was like, "Oh, I just
Yeah.
don't want you to be in the finale. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me."
Well, no, I mean, he should take Liz. He should just bring her like, and then put Kenzie and Charlie in. Or, I mean, I think he could have put himself in against Kenzie, and but I yet again that would have probably made him the runner up of the season. I don't think that wins him the season. Um, could have been a little better positioning, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so but speaking of which, this guy is able to win immunity. Not only that, not have a hiccup like everyone else.
Yeah.
Charlie, let his ball drop
Mhm.
twice. And it's like it is such
It was
it's almost
comedically.
comical
Yeah.
how slow it is. It's almost like it was like it feels like it was designed by an asshole just being like, "I'm gonna
Mhm.
go as slow as possible. I'm gonna
Yeah.
engineer this thing to
Yeah.
be as slow and irritating as possible,
Yeah, how can
to
this
mess with you."
ramp be at, like, almost the closest thing to building no momentum?
Exactly. And then, like, even when because, like, you have to use a lot of power to get that ball over that little ledge for it to go over.
Yeah,
So much so that, like, Kenzie overshot it, and then she accidentally rolled her ball off of the game
yeah.
and had to retrieve it, which is like I was worried. I was like, "Oh, man, if she loses that,"
Yeah, she's just over there looking for her for, like, 10 minutes.
because the ball is white and the
Yeah,
sand is white, so it's like
yeah, exactly. Um, I wonder how I would do that because like, I throw left-handed, and that was definitely designed for a right hand toss, in my opinion, so I wonder if they would've, if there's a left-handed person, if they would've reversed it.
wouldn't you just
I mean, yeah, but like that's now kind of like choosing like you have to do it a certain way. Whereas if you were like I think you have better control when you're doing this.
backhand? Yeah.
Whereas when you're doing this, you're kind of it's a lot more of a wild movement.
As a wise person once said, "There's a learning curve to this."
Yeah.
But no, Ben, who and Jeff even pointed this out, like who was not focused even when it came to like being on the mat, and there was a lot going on for that. I think it was that one where they also had old Granny Liz, walking in with the
Mhm.
little cane, where she showed her ligaments are too big for her wrist, and then was going
Ah,
them back and forth.
that was awful. I hated that moment. I
No,
don't want it in my
dude,
uh
Matt was, like, cringe he was like, "Oh gosh, oh gosh," which I thought was funny.
yeah.
Um, no, it is a big, like, that challenge, but Charlie or Ben was able to be like, "No, I got this." He was able to focus and do it and,
Yeah.
yeah, not make any mistakes, like,
Yeah. And he was
big
talking
props.
about how, he didn't get, like, any sleep. He was
Yeah,
delirious. He kinda, like, didn't fully understand how the challenge worked, when Jeff first explained it. He was like, "So you're not out if it goes into the bumper or whatever?" And Jeff was like, "You're still in it."
mm,
Yeah, which to be fair, like I would have like I thought there was a potential like you're out if you hit it at first, and then once he explained the bumper, I was like, okay, you're safe. But Ben I think was just not focusing about it at that second. So it's interesting that in the challenge that requires focus, the person who seems like he's the most all over the place focused in on the challenge.
maybe because he was only supposed to focus in on 2 things. It's like one of those things where it's like, "All I have to do is this," and it's like, "Yeah, pay attention to the ball, but also this," and, like, that's all his mind was on. Because, like, when we're
Mhm,
doing some of these challenges, granted, we don't have hunger, separation from our family, and all that impacts that as well. But
mhm,
like when we're doing those challenges, a lot of other things are running through our head too, where it's like, oh, I can't let Anthony outlast me in this plank. Oh no, if I lose this challenge, if I don't get the ball in the cup, then all my other teammates will go. Oh, if I trying to use an example for one of yours. Oh, if I don't make this obstacle course really cool, maybe I get targeted and go home. Things like that.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I mean, congrats on Ben. At least he gets to say he did something on the season because I think up until this point, he was someone who would just get brought in at the end of the idea of who's going home. Um,
Yeah.
so at least he was able to do something here, be able to make the decision. And yeah, I just think either you put Kenzie and Charlie against each other or you go against Kenzie. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely baffling giving Kenzie essentially what seemed like the easiest win of all time because Liz, from what it seemed like, was not very good at fire. um, Watching her constantly smother fire, and it seemed like this every time the fire was going, she would like pause for a second and be like, "It's happening," and then just throw things on, which is not how you do it. You got to
No.
properly make sure it's going in the direction very slowly. Use some blow on it a little bit to help it go and nurture it, not not just go
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And man, it's one of those things where especially with the fire making, it is we talked about the resume move, and but it's also something where it can also be a gambit because, and we've seen it before with, Gabler, we've seen it before with, Heidi, we've seen it before with, Mike Turner, who didn't end up winning that, but, was able to take out John because he was like, "Yeah, I've been building fires and whatnot for some time. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to fires, dude."
Mhm.
Um, so like there are things like that where it can definitely add to your resume, and not only that, someone that might have won the game. Jesse Lopez is a huge example where
Mhm.
if Jesse made it to the finale, odds are he would have won 43.
Yeah,
But like because it was like fire making and stuff like that, and he couldn't do it, and they had to put the right person in there, he went. And that's why I don't blame Natalie Anderson for not putting herself to make fire in that moment. Obviously,
mhm.
that would have helped her out so much if she did, but at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's like, it's a huge gambit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I think it definitely depends on your positioning in the game. I think for Natalie, the fact that she wasn't in most of the game, I think that requires her to put herself into the game. I don't think everyone is required. I think if Charlie wins, he is not required to put himself into fire. I think if Kenzie wins, she's not required to put herself into fire. That's why D wasn't required. She was already in a good spot at that point. But if you are in a situation where there's one or two people who like pretty much win against any combination, I think you gotta either make sure that you have someone in there that is better at them than fire guaranteed, or you put yourself in there to like essentially solidify yourself as the win. Because the fact that Gabler beats Jesse is definitely a big reason. Like you can say he essentially had the bookends of the merge by taking out Ellie very early on and then taking out Jesse here, which are
Yeah.
two of the defining moves of the season for at least the jury at that point. Um, so yeah, it definitely depends on positioning. I don't think you have to like always be like, I gotta go in there because the fire wins, because fire win has the since force fire making, the fire winner has won 7 out of 12 times. So it's been 7-5. So it's more likely, but not guaranteed.
Yeah. I will say this too. It is funny how sometimes the jury views challenge wins and stuff like that, or oh, it doesn't play too much of a factor into their vote and stuff like that. Yet it is something that fire making specifically is a resume move. Well,
Mhm,
being a challenge beast may not be so, even though making fire is by all intents and purposes a challenge.
mhm.
Um, which I kind of find a little interesting. But at the same time, just like one thing to ponder are some who knows? But
Mhm,
yeah, going into, the finale, uh, or no, when the fire is made, Liz has an emotional response, and she's like, "Ichigo," which felt so I mean, I think we all feel that when we're playing the game. I mean, sometimes we're like sometimes, it's like, "Yeah, I don't win at the end of this," or something like that, but I feel
mhm,
like I hate to, like, give the man credit because of what he was accused of, but to kind of reference Mike Skupin, he
mhm,
did say that because you're playing the game and you know everything you've done and you have your narrative in your head, that it does feel like you're the winner. Um, or you feel that you are because you've known everything you accomplished.
mhm.
I mean, granted, neither of us have made Final Tribal Council, so like, but we know our journey there, and us getting there is inspiring in its own right. And then it's partially selling it, but like, you know, in our heads, we know what we did to get there and how, why we deserve to win. Sometimes we don't articulate it the best,
Uh-huh.
but we know why we deserve to win. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the best thing I can say about Liz's game is she made it tough to Final Four. So there's that on her resume, in my opinion.
she gave us some entertaining moments. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that's entertaining for the jury. I think that some of the jury was like, I mean, especially like Q. I mean, there's no way Q votes for Liz. Q definitely probably argues for everyone else but Liz. Um,
yeah,
and like if you piss off Q, big mistake.
I'm gonna vote for Ben. Not that that should be a threat. I mean, Ben is a very likable guy, and there was even talk of it early in the game. Obviously, when I was watching it, they were like, "There's no way they're just gonna get rid of Ben." I'm like, "Oh, it's just something." So we go in not knowing that it's going to be Maria going home, so we have some suspension of disbelief.
Mhm.
Um, it is interesting how Maria was very edited this season,
Yeah,
unless you're talking about the last couple episodes. However, they hyped her up so much in this finale,
yeah,
and it didn't have like the usual tribal music. It had a very somber, like sad tribal
yeah,
music when they were voting for Maria, which
yeah.
was like,
This is
hold up.
this is classic Final Five modern New Era Survivor. Is the fifth
Yeah,
place person just gets this send off of like, I know it's me. I'm a great player. I was the best player of the season. Let me vote me out, and thanks for letting me be the best player. Um,
yeah.
it happens almost every season now. So when it happened, I was already kind of like, Yeah, yeah, I know this is happening.
But it was like it felt weird because it,
Uh,
like, made it feel like because it was, like, a sad song, and then it was, like, very much like, oh, like, I feel like Survivor loves Maria, but they didn't give her the edit I feel like that we should have to have more of an emotional impact during that. Because, I do feel for Maria a little bit, but at the same time, like, she was also painted the villain near the end, and she didn't get enough of those confessionals for us to really peek inside of her mind as much to have that emotional, like
yeah.
because, like, it felt like I was like double take. I was like, "Why is the music so sad right now?" Not saying that I don't like Maria, if you look at our my last episode, I was like, "No, I want her to tie with the guys' records from Immunity, so that way,"
Uh,
because I also wanted to
yeah,
see history made and all
yeah,
that. And I
yeah.
do like Maria, even if she made her, like her end game and whatnot definitely fell apart. I still liked her,
Um,
but yeah, I just feel like editing wise, it wasn't until like the last 3 episodes where we're like, we really care about Maria and everything going on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I would definitely say I think she was the best player of the season. Like in terms of like, if you looked at her resume, she's
Yeah.
definitely the person who has had the best resume going into this finale. So I do get that, but yeah, I mean, the stark differences between people like Kenzie, Charlie, and Q compared to literally the next person, which is Maria in confessionals, is crazy. It's like they almost half is what Maria has.
I mean, before that, it was like a 20 several difference between, jump off point. So like,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah. Uh, I know we kind of backtrack a little bit, but good because it was kind of like an important thing. Um, because more and more, even though we're seeing an extra 20 minutes of it, we don't see everything on the island. So it
Uh,
is sometimes tough to be like, oh, they're painting this person in this light. We haven't seen everything they've done. So I can see why Liz was like, man, I would have won at the end and stuff like that
uh,
because, that's the narrative that was playing in her head.
yeah. Which is I think if she ever plays the game again, I think she needs to work on this. Like you can have the percent like I mean maybe it's like because I'm more of a writer, like when I've been playing the games, I can tell who's got better narrative odds than me. Like at a certain point I know that my stock's rising, but like I usually am able to paint targets on other people to or like I can kind of see like what's happening in the game to a degree and be able to say, okay, this person is going to probably win the game if they get to the end. Um, and I don't think Liz can do that. I think her ego 100% makes her think that she is always going to win if she gets to the end. What's with that smile?
I think because both times I played, I'm like, I am totally the main character. But here's the thing, and I've been called out about having main character syndrome before. If you don't think you're the main character in your own freaking life, you are not giving yourself enough self-worth.
Yeah,
All
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
you
say.
can be the main character, but you can also notice when someone is being perceived as a great player or very likable, as in the Kenzie and the Charlies, and know what you've done in the game. At least the most public thing you've been doing in the game has been exploding, and freaking out about not eating. Uh, you
I
know,
ate during Heroes versus Villains. Oh wait, I'm playing.
yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, no, I think that that's something that people can work on and should be able to have some level of being able to tell. It's like threat management, except it's win equity management.
yeah. Um, I don't know. Sometimes when you're in it, it's tough. But Liz gets eliminated. We get the final three, and I'll admit, Final Trial Council feels like a blur to me. Like I know a lot that happened, but it
Yeah,
just felt like there was a lot of heat on both. Yeah, like Charlie for him, it was like did he just ride coattails with Maria up until a certain point and then, was kind of like claiming it from there?
Yeah.
And then like Ben was like, "Well, what did you really do?" And for Kenzie, it was like, "All right, what did you do during this game that was like your moves and how did you do things?"
Mhm.
And I feel like Kenzie was able to like own up her game the most, and I feel like Charlie was close behind, but it's that vote where Maria, and it's kinda another ironic thing is that Maria went home because Kenzie won immunity, because someone helped Kenzie.
Yeah.
It's kinda weird that there's this, like, underlying bitterness,
Yeah.
which I don't know, has Maria come out and said anything about this? Because I've been hearing a lot of interviews from, like, Charlie, or, like, not hearing,
Sh
but,
sh
like,
her re
passages
her
from Charlie's.
her reasoning
Yeah.
is just that at Final Four fire making, she saw the fire in Kenzie's eyes and said, "That's who I want to see win." Which to me, as I said, I don't buy it. I think that that is just fancy wording to cover up that she was bitter.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
especially hearing that this was a very long fire making, it had to have gone to like ridiculous levels for Charlie to think that matches might be coming in pretty soon. So
Yeah.
to me, like that doesn't sound like someone who has fire in their eyes, especially coming off of seasons where we've had some of the fastest fire making times yet.
Literally, the record was broken twice in a row.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
so for me, yeah, I don't really buy the idea that Kenzie wins the game in fire if it's a long fire making.
Yeah, and it's like, I have more of like, maybe it's a tough thing because it's like, it's just the actions aren't fully lining up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's sad because I don't want Maria to have this narrative, but it's it's kinda hard to, like, ignore.
Mhm.
And, like, maybe, some time has passed. I don't know if they've reconciled since or anything like that, but it is one of those things where I kinda I don't know, it has, like, an icky feeling, and I'm like,
Yeah.
obviously, Maria is her own woman, she can vote for whoever the fuck she wants, but it
Uh-huh.
was like, it just, like, the way it happened is just, like, that's the weird feeling for me. Like, I
Mhm.
get not wanting to vote for Charlie, but at the same time, it's like, it doesn't feel like we have the full story, and, like, I don't like how they were kinda, like, interacting with it, and it feels like it's still, to this day, like that.
Yeah, I mean, this whole cast seems like there's some bitterness to a lot of them. I think even Hunter has been making some TikToks or videos about kind of like roasting some of the cast members, like Hunter of all people. Um,
Venus was roasting, the Empire State Building,
yeah, I saw that too.
which I'm like,
Um,
"This can't be real," and then, apparently, yeah,
so, yeah.
over on X, she made a tweet about, "Hey, Empire State Building is ugly," and then Empire the official account of the Empire State Building is like, "How's that idol treating you?" And I'm like, it clapped back.
uh yeah, so yeah, definitely a bitter cast, I think.
The meme
Yeah,
the memeiest cast of all
yeah,
time.
yeah. So yeah, also final tribal council pretty much starts with a question to Kenzie, which then Kenzie answers, and Q does not like the answer, and there's a whole argument that happens for a very like it's uncomfortably long
Yeah.
of hearing this. um to me, like, it definitely did not start off great for Kenzie. It's like, I know that that's just Q, and like, but I thought there's no way Q votes for her after that. Um, but she ends up coming back later. But yeah, it felt like she started off very rough, and I felt like Charlie was just like pretty solid. Like he wasn't necessarily spectacular with anything, but, like, I think he did, charm up Tevin a little bit. Like, I'm another person who I thought, like, I'm kind of thought maybe Tevin was gonna lean towards voting Charlie, which we even hear him say, like, he's split between 2. Um, so I thought he did very good. I feel like and I've seen Rob Cesternino talk about this actually, that Charlie feels like in all aspects, he's like a 7 out of 8 in like every aspect. And then Kenzie is like a 9 or 10 in social and then kind of lower in the scales in a lot of the other aspects. But because that social is so high, that
Yeah.
ends up beating an all arounder in Charlie.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the thing about Final Tribal Council, and that's why social threats start to get eliminated around, 7, 6, 5,
Mhm,
4, is because they know, like, if one of those people gets in the end, because, like, even if we are very calculated people, like, people that know people or people that can strike emotion knows that they can manipulate. Or, like, I wouldn't say manipulate in the sense of like, "Oh, I'm gonna make you feel this way." But it's like they know, like, how to reach into a person and be like, move them in that regard. And,
mhm,
like, Kenzie said the right things, and the thing is, it was genuine, talking about her, livelihood and talking about, like, her journey through there, how she struggled from day 1 and to still make it to the end. And, like, those are the things that she knew how to hit. She knew how to hit them perfectly, for the most part. Obviously, having to navigate Q interrupting, but at the same time, like, that's why I was like, she just has to make it to Final Tribal Council and then plead her
mhm,
case, because, like, I knew she could control it. And I feel like that's the thing, like, if you get someone that can speak very well into Final Tribal Council, big mistake.
yeah,
Uh,
big mistake. Yeah, I think Kenzie got really lucky having Q in the game, to be honest. I think the fact that
yeah,
someone as loud and vocal as Q kind of being brought along as the smoke screen all the way till final six was great for her game. Like, no one's gonna look at another Yanu really unless like when Q was really kind of going off crazy like this. Like even the Tiffany one, like that's kind of the first one where it was really kind of like, let's maybe make the move against Q. Um, Tiffany's still like kind of the person that's was really the focus at that point. So, Tiffany goes, and then it's just like, okay, Q's got to go next. Still not 7 Venus, and then Q goes there. And now suddenly it's like Kenzie's in with Charlie and Maria, 2 other people who could win the game. And now it's not really we're not in that doomsday scenario of like a
yeah.
43 where there's Cody, Carla, Jesse as 3 top people at final 6, and then they start targeting each other. It's like you got 3 people at final 5, which means at least one of them gets the ends.
I mean, I think that's always the thing about the shield, or I wouldn't say
Mhm.
shield. It's like how far you bring someone.
Yeah.
And they even brought it up in this when Maria got eliminated. Like the better you are, the bigger your target is. And like sometimes I do feel like it is how you narrate it, and sometimes it's timing. Sometimes, Tiffany was a big threat, but like maybe Tiffany wasn't the big threat to get rid of right then. No, Hunter should definitely be the mark. Or, like with Q, it was like, well, Q is someone where we definitely have to get rid of because he's a wild card. However, right now, he's kind of good to keep around because that's still having intention. We see that with like Shields all the time in these reality comp shows.
Mhm.
Um, is that, it is a good strategy not only for people to do, but even to be in that position to be that shield because people might bring you further in the game. I've been a shield before,
Mhm.
and in hindsight, as stressful as it was, it helped me get further into the game.
Yeah.
Um,
Same. It's if you're a good player, you put into a shield. Like I want to see Q back. I really do.
I do as well.
um
I do as well.
he's probably the number one selection I would pick from this season. Like if this season has one person to bring back, I'd probably say Q.
There's a few. I do want to see Charlie and Maria come back
Mhm.
just because that storyline is so unresolved. I want them to come back. duke it out on the island, or maybe if it's something like if they end up on a different reality show like Traders or something,
Mhm.
and like it's like what something like that because that storyline just ends on like it just ends on this weird note, and I kind of
Yeah,
want to see it played a little
yeah,
bit more.
yeah.
Um,
Amazing Race. You know who your next
Amazing Race.
Survivor people should be.
No, for the traitors. I just finished season 2. I haven't watched the reunion yet, but I just finished season 2.
Oh, nice.
Um, but, it's one of those things where you watch I would say you watch and then obviously we think, "Oh, who would be great to come back?" I think Q for entertainment value. I think Venus in the right
Mhm.
circumstance. I can see Hunter. I think there's a lot of people. I personally, and this is just the actor thing, but also I feel like we didn't get to see too much of him. I wanted to see Tevin return,
Yeah.
because like I like the dude, and then obviously the legend Jelensky.
Zelensky is
The most
100% appearing on Survivor 50. Like, there is 0% chance that Jeff does not reach out to Zelensky and Zelensky says no. Like, he is 100% saying yes.
everyone. It's just like we talked about it last week, where he was just like so beloved and
Yeah.
so like hilarious that he, he was referenced throughout the entire game up until the finale.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Jeff had a whole segment about it, about several.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah. Tried to for a second make it seem like it was going to be Survivor 40 Sephiroth also, and then a few minutes later, Jeff's like, no, I'm going back to calling it Survivor 47.
I think the real fans are gonna call it 40 several.
uh,
Um, I feel like because they just started filming at the time of recording of this, like I think 1 week prior.
mhm.
So like, they know about several too. I can even see them even say several, 40 several and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I feel like Jeff is right. It is something that is definitely going to be in the vernacular of Survivor for quite some time. It is up there with I am a federal agent
yeah,
and it was like I've been bamboozled and stuff like that. It's just
yeah.
several is going to be a huge, huge part of the survivor community now.
Yeah, yeah. Zelensky really needs to get on more in the merch game, I think. I know that he has like that one shirt, but I feel like he needs to do more with the fact that like for when Survivor 40 several comes out, that he needs a Survivor 40 several shirts that he starts making.
He needs to make a cameo in that season.
Yeah. Yeah. And not like that he goes out there just like Jeff Probst he gets a cameo from him on the app and then they just show it
Yeah.
off to everyone.
Is Zelensky on cameo?
He is. I'm pretty sure he is.
Uh, I am also on cameo, just saying.
Yeah.
Let me
Well, yeah, yeah. We're gonna look up real quick Jelensky on Cameo. Oh yeah, he is there.
how much is it?
Um $37
First of all, it's 30 several.
for 30 several.
I also love how I type it in and it has Neo. Not planned at all.
uh
I also found Portia on there, and I feel like that would have been hilarious.
yeah, yeah. If you get a cameo from Porsche. Uh
She actually it's 36.99.
oh, that's not what I see on my thing.
I don't know, maybe because I'm on the. Do you have a cameo?
No.
You get on there, Joe.
Uh I don't know. I don't think I'm famous enough for Cameo. I think you
Just
need to
shut
hit
up.
I think you need to hit a bare minimum threshold and I'm not there.
Give it time. Uh, hey, you had that kid from Darman on your YouTube channel. Not just this, but
Yeah,
Laughing Matter.
yeah, exactly. And someone commented on one of the shorts saying, "Is that the guy from Darman?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but no. I
Okay.
feel like this season was definitely a crazy one, but it's not. Is it my favorite of the new era? No, but I do find a lot of entertainment out of it.
Uh-huh.
Um, like, a movie where it may not have great reviews, but I can still sit back, watch, and enjoy.
Yeah, it's so weird with the season because I feel like the first or the episodes 2 to 4 are like so bad that it made me kind of not want to watch the seasons moving forwards. But then by the time we got to like the Tevin boots, it became a lot more entertaining, like the episodes, and there's like then a good stretch of episodes. Um, it's almost like the opposite of 45 weirdly, where I feel like 45 had a really good like first half of the game, and then the second half was very predictable, and the Rio 4 kind of just like controlling the game. Like once Kelly goes home, like that episode, it becomes a super predictable season. Um this one was more, I guess, like, terrible beginning, but then crazy fun stuff started happening in the post merge. And because a lot of people viewed the post merge as the more important, I know some people were saying that they like the season more because they're going to probably remember post merge better than pre merge.
That's fair. And also, a lot of people are like, well, the real game starts when, jury happens, because
Yeah.
that's when you have your quote unquote main characters of the season.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, all right. Is there any more things we should touch about or about the finale?
Um,
Um,
I know we don't have like our full rankings or anything, but where would you say you'd rank Kenzie as a winner compared to other winners?
I need to pull up my list. It definitely might need to be updated, but
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to be in like dead specifics here. Just like give me kind of a
you,
5 to 10 range.
Joe, you put the quarter in the jukebox. Now you have to listen to the song.
Oh, let's
How
speed
long
it
have
up a little bit.
I'm trying to think. What about you?
um, I would probably put her in the low 20s, so somewhere around like maybe 21st, 22nd, like somewhere around there, maybe of winners. Like I think she has a
Updated
really
this
good
while.
what?
I haven't updated this while. It's still at like 43 people.
Oh, got
So I
it.
need to add D and Jam Jam as well.
Hmm. Um, yeah, I think obviously she has a good social game, but I think she wasn't making the moves necessary. I think that there's definitely other players who have more noteworthy things that they did in their game. But like she was still a solid player. Like I get her win.
Yeah.
She's not a person that's just like what the heck. So I'd probably put her in around the middle of the pack.
I would say in the 20s as well, yeah.
Mhm.
Middle pack, maybe late 20s. Like I said, I
Mhm.
haven't updated that list in forever,
Yeah,
but I would say around that ballpark.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, you ready to get into the season long confessionals?
Woo! Turnips.
Okay, so the person with the most confessionals on the season is Charlie with 84 confessionals.
All
Um,
right.
Next up is the winner of the season, Kenzie, with 75 confessionals.
Several E5.
Yeah, several five. I'm not going to say that
Several
for all. I'm
T5.
not doing that. Q with 74.
Several T4.
No, stop doing that. And then we go to a tie with Venus and Tiffany at 49 confessionals.
Okay.
Then we got Maria with 48 confessionals. Then we got Ben with 45 confessionals. Then Liz with 42 confessionals. Um, and then we go to Banu with 35 confessionals.
Insane. I get why. I understand why, but at the same time, it's still a baffling number, even with the extra 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you know, at least the top 8 people all ended with more confessionals than him.
Yes.
So that is, I guess, something. Terrible that 2 finalists went into this episode not with more confessionals than him, though. That is definitely a shame.
Yes.
But, well, whatever. Okay, next up, we got Hunter with 33 confessionals. Then we got Tevin with 27 confessionals.
Several.
Stop it.
I have to commit to the bit until we get to the end.
Next up, we got Mariah with 21 confessionals. Then Jem with 20 confessionals. Then we got Tim with 17, followed by
Several
Randon.
teams.
Brandon with 13, Jess with 9, and Jelinski with several.
Yes. Um, man. Uh, it it definitely speaks volumes, especially like we're talking half of the cast, almost half of the cast. Or no, yeah, half the cast have less confessionals than the fourth boot.
Yep. Yeah, he's ranked number 9 in the confessionals. So just goes to show you don't need to make it far to rack up those confessionals.
Yeah, you just have to talk a lot.
Yeah, and cry and be on the bottom and get lucky that a medevac happens that keeps you in the game for one extra tribal.
I've done all of that except the medevac.
Yeah. um okay. Well, I guess that does it. I mean, I don't know if we want to. There's not really a point to doing an MVP or LVP of the finale because we know
Yeah,
who the
I don't think we
MVP
know.
is. Yeah.
I, I think yeah, we've kind of discussed like our favorites of the seasons and everything. So yeah. Um okay. Wow, this is weird. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching once again. Come 40 several. It is going to be 5 years since we had this YouTube channel. And we're definitely going to do be sentimental. There's so much that is
Hmm.
what we have planned that we hope to do for the channel, for you guys, and for some of our friends. It's going to be a fun summer. It's going to be we're going to try and put so many cool things together. We got some series
Hmm.
in mind. And yeah, this is going to be fun. 46 was fun to review. It is going to be where I got my first buff, so there's always going to be that sentiment.
Hmm.
Yeah. So thanks.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's crazy, that we're still here. We're still, chugging out these reviews. We're gonna be going back to brand steals here pretty soon too. So get ready to see some more brand steals. I've already been writing down some ideas for some of the future ones. Some I've sent to you, I believe, already. So
Yeah, we've
yeah,
definitely talked. We've had some suggested as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. And yeah, we will see you in the next one.
peace.